she's has Reiki.
So we have been on a 7-week series based on the chakras. And I'm really happy this is gentle and restorative because for 2 days straight, when I've been doing flow classes, I've been getting hot flashes. And yesterday I just had to drop into child's pose and keep instructing while I was trying to cool down. So I've witnessed a lot of you go through those spells. Now it's my turn. So I'm glad that we're gonna take it easy in this class, so I will hopefully experience that again. But we've been moving through the chakras, which are the energy channels, well, not the energy channels, the energy centers of the body. The channels are something completely different. Hi, come on in. So we're on the crown chakra, which is the very top one, or the 7th one. It is deeply rooted to the first chakra, even though it's the one farthest away from it. Think and consider how the chakras are often depicted or symbolized as being lotus flowers. A lotus flower cannot survive. A lotus flower cannot grow unless its roots are in the mud. So the first chakra and the 7th chakra are connected to each other, even though they seem worlds apart, especially when you study and decipher the differences between them. We talked about the first chakra being family ties, ancestral roots, our survival skills, our sense of safety. This is all about self-preservation. The 2nd chakra is about adaptability and polarity and pleasure and pain and sexual identity. It's our emotional seat. This is about self-gratification. We moved up to the 3rd. The 3rd's the seat of the ego, our personality, likes, dislikes, whether or not we're empowered or disempowered. This is about not just what we're consuming, but what we're digesting and processing, not just food, but life. And this is about self-definition. We talked about the 4th being the place of, or the embodiment of love, the place that we call the seat of the soul. The place of love is about faith and devotion, and being courageous and brave, and being forgiving and loving and caring and compassionate. And this is about self-acceptance as well. When we moved up to the 5th is about hearing, speaking, and living your truth. It's all about self-expression. The 3rd eye is about self-reflection and self-awareness, and learning what our habits and behaviors are in thoughts, words, and actions. Discovering, is that helpful or hurtful? Is it to a detriment, or is it for a betterment? And learning that we can edit and reprogram some of this. And then we moved to the top where we're at this week, which is all about self-knowledge or self-realization. It is said to be the bridge to the cosmos. This is where we connect to source energy, or connect to the heavens, connect to God, connect to the divine, connect to the great spirit, connect to Mother Goddess, whatever you want to call it. This is the one. So anyone who is a spiritual skeptic, anyone who doesn't want to be in the question of things, anyone that's very narrow-minded, they're showing a disharmony or a disconnection from the crown chakra. The crown chakra helps us to realize that we are light bodies, we are spiritual beings having this human experience, and we are so much more than what we realize, but we learn to discern this when we go into deep spiritual practices. If we do prayer, meditation, journaling, anything that's going to take us inward to help us to do that self-study, anything that's going to help us to discover there's something more out there, and we receive that inner knowing from the inner experience. And so this is what the crown chakra is meant to gift us. The sound for it is silence. And that's why it's important to make sure you're getting increments of silence daily. Being embedded in that silence daily can help you to tap into your own spiritual essence. Being able to quiet the mind is able to drop into that space between thoughts to realize within that silence, within that depth, within that space, that's where thoughts originate from. That's where emotions begin to roll from. Everything begins in that space. So that's what we're going to try to tap into today. The color is purple. The secondary color is white. And we're going to do some poses that will help to stimulate this particular chakra. And in the end, we're going to do some restorative poses against the wall. So you will need some wall space. And then you can scoot up a little bit later. Let's go ahead and start sitting upright. I would suggest sitting on top of your bolster, scooting towards the edge. Just makes it more comfortable for the back. And extend long through the spine. Imagine that roots are growing down from your sits bones below the flooring and foundation of this building, down into the soil. And we know in Tennessee there's tons of rocks right underneath the soil. We're called rocky top. But go deeper than those surface rocks. Go much, much deeper. So it's almost like you're putting a landing line down towards the center of the earth. Lock it into place. Feel heavier in your lower body. And feel free to imagine that your roots are embedded in mud. And the stem of the spine growing up towards the sunlight. And the crown of the head blooming into 1,000 petaled lotus in purple or white. Each of these petals represents one of the infinite possibilities and potentials we can carry through our lifetime. Each one of these petals is representative of an awakening or a piece of enlightenment that we've gained through our life experience. It's a part of our spiritual unfoldment. And as you're picturing this lotus blooming at the top of the head, imagine the petals are not just blooming upward, but also downward, similar to a sunflower. In this way, you're also receiving the nectar of the lotus. For more deep breaths, just to center your mind in preparation. Bring your hands to prayer position at your heart. Bow your head humbly that direction. And I want you to set your intention that as we practice without music and with silence today, that you take time to relish the silence, to enjoy the silence. And to know that there is something very sacred and profound within silence. Gently begin to flip the eyelids open. We're going to come up to stand. You can set your props to the side. We're going to be a little active and then we're going to get restorative. So when you come up to stand on your mat, I want you to start by rooting the feet down. Just as we were picturing when we were sitting, the sits bones moving down into the earth. Now you're digging your feet into your mat, down into the earth as well. This will ignite the legs, engage the muscles. Bring your hands to prayer position at your heart. On your in breath, circle the arms wide and up alongside your face. Keep drilling the feet down, but lifting up everywhere else. And as you exhale, swan dive halfway to your thighs. Leaning forward, your hands can rest on your upper thighs, your shoulders can roll back, and let your elbows clip in towards your side body. On the next out breath, you're going to slide your hands to your shins just below the knees, and you're going to drop the belly and pick up the top of the head. So you're creating just a little micro back bend. Good. As you exhale, gently slide your hands down towards your feet, releasing through the neck, letting the head get heavy, coming into a full Uttanasana. On your next in-breath, sweep the arms to your sides and up to Urdhva Hastasana. Good. Exhale, swan dive back in. Halfway, hands to the upper thighs, creating a 90-degree angle with your upper body. Getting the torso parallel to the earth. Space between the shoulders and the ears. Belly hugging in to protect the low back. And as you exhale, slide your hands below the knees. Inhale, you can sink the belly and uplift the chest, lift your eyes, and then exhale, flow down. Coming into a ragdoll position with your upper body, even though your belly is still piercing in towards the spine. We're going to do one more of those. Inhale, coming all the way back up to Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hinge halfway down. Opening up the back of the leg, sitting the crown of the head forward. Exhale, slip the hands down to the shins. Inhale, just a little tiny back bend. And then exhale, roll it down. Inhale, bring it all the way up to Urdhva Hastasana. This time, you're going to lace the hands together and create this steeple for this temple of body. Draw the shoulders up toward the ears. Hug the arms close to the head. I put this funny meme up on Facebook yesterday. It's something like, I don't know, I'm not going to get a tattoo because my body is my temple. And then it says the temple's response, and it shows all the beautiful paintings found in like a cathedral, you know. So take a deep breath in. Exhale, curve to your left side. Making that crescent moon shape with your side body. Make sure you don't lean so far over that you can't breathe in. Draw back to center. Exhale, curve it to the other side. So the crescent moon represents consciousness, and the crown of the head is like the super consciousness. It's the utmost wisdom that creates utmost union. Inhale, come back to the top. Feel the difference now when you place your palms together and you start to hinge forward and down in a more centering way to Uttanasana. Affirming here as you hold this position, nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back as I achieve self-realization. And on your next inhalation, bend your knees, scoop the belly in, and roll it up one vertebra at a time. shoulders back. So this side of the room, you're gonna face the front door. This side of the room, you're gonna face the other wall. We're gonna separate the feet really wide. And when you separate the feet really wide, take your hands to your hips and really drill the feet down into the floor. And then lengthen out through your arms and make sure that your wrists somewhat align over the ankles. Good, now turn your palms forward, lift the arms up in a more jubilant manner. I call this Da Vinci pose. Good, on your exhale. Oh, it's so soft, it's okay. At least it was a yogic sounding ring. As you exhale, you're gonna hinge over and you're gonna place the palms to the floor. It's okay to bend the knees to get your hands down, but we're gonna stack the hands shoulder distance apart in line with the arches of the feet. And then the arms are gonna squeeze towards each other. The crown of the head's facing the floor, soften the muscles of the face. And if your jaw feels tight, you can create a fake yawn, or you can create some separation between your lips. And this is Prasarita Padottanasana. So Uttanasana in this pose that we're in is all good for the crown chakra. As you inhale, walk your hands out in front of you, come halfway up. Lengthen out through the spine, stack your hands back to your hips, drill the feet down, strong legs, strong core as you rise to the top. Okay, we're gonna come back to a different version of that in just a minute. But for now, we're gonna heel toe the feet in just enough. So we're creating a wide victory squat. Yep, and your thighs are rolling out. Hips nice and open. Bring your hands to prayer position. Inhale, bring your arms into the goddess arms. Roll the pinkies in, contract your biceps, and draw the arms together. Good, exhale, when you wing the arms back out, you're gonna turn the thumbs out and away from your midline. Good, roll the pinkies in, squeeze your biceps. Close the arms together. Wing them open, roll the thumbs away. One more of those. And open it out to the sides. Good. Now, keep the squat. Bring your fingertips lightly to the floor. Don't white knuckle the hands. The weight is really in the feet. The fingertips are just kind of hanging out. Okay, and you can choose to be here or you can choose to amp it up and elevate your heels. Again, not too much weight in your hands. You can choose either or. One more breath. All right, come back down to your heels. Slowly stand up. Heel toe the feet apart, so where they initially were. We're gonna do a couple more. Shoulders back, chest up. Okay. Now, bring your hands in front of you, basically kind of in front of you, maybe ahead of your shoulder bones, and then squeeze the arms down so the elbows are pointed towards the floor, and your upper arms are kind of squeezing the sides of your chest. Do you feel the action in your upper back and shoulders? Do you feel the action behind your arms? And the triceps. This is what we're going for here, okay? So inhale, extend the arms back out. Turn your palms forward, come back to Da Vinci. Exhale, come back down. Walk your hands back. Squeeze those arms in. Make sure it feels the same energetically. You're engaging the same muscles that you were just doing standing. You're just flipped upside down. Couple deep breaths. Now stack your first two fingers and wrap them around each big toe. Push down through the big toe now and fan the arms away from your legs to open your chest more.
pushing down into the big toenail here activates and stimulates an acupressure point for the pituitary gland. And the pituitary gland is the one that goes with the crown chakra. Some say pineal gland, but I often choose pineal to go with the third eye. It could be either or, but they're both in the head. Now walk your hands back in. Heel toe the feet back in just a little bit, right? Because we're coming back into the victory squat. From the victory squat, you're gonna lean down to the left knee with your left elbow, and you're gonna sweep that right arm skyward. Now, inhale, bring it through center. Exhale, rest your right elbow on your right knee. And take that left arm out and up. I'm getting a little bit of a twist here. One more breath. Good. Exhale, bring the hands down and just safely maneuver down to the floor with your knees. You're going to lean back into your heels. You can turn to facing me again. Stretch the arms out in front of you and bow your head. Now, if it strains your neck to have your arms outstretched in an active way, then it's okay to plop down to the elbows so that you don't feel that tension in the side of the neck, and the forehead can sink down to the sticky mat. So just test the waters there. All right, we're going to slide the hands alongside the knees. We're going to uplift the sits bones and hips so that we can roll to the top of the head. And once we roll to the top of the head, I want you to squeeze the arms in towards your outer thighs, in towards your side body. Allow the brunt of the weight to be in your hands and knees and feet. Very light or little weight at the top of the head. You are rounding through your upper back. You are contracting and trying to fill in the gap between the shoulder blades. A version of Sasamdasana, hair pose. And then slowly unroll. All right. So do we have this down? Do we need to do it again? Hands in front of the shoulders. Squeeze the arms down. All right, we're going to do one more active pose and then you get to restore. This is going to require up and blankets. And I would put it halfway down the mat so that the top of your mat can fold over it like this. So it's nice and padded and cushiony. So I didn't have you guys attempt a headstand on Monday. But in Blissful Flow, we did Shirshasana 1. Well, today in Blissful Flow, we did Shirshasana 2. And I have seen Carlos get into this pose. I've seen a lot of you get into this pose. And it's a headstand to prep. Okay, so you don't have to go all the way up, but it tends to be the easier one if, and only if, you don't have some major stuff happening with the neck. If you have major stuff happening with the neck, I don't want you to do it. I want you to use this. Doesn't mean you get out of it. This is a safe way to do it without using the neck. Okay, so we're going to go over this one first. I'm going to turn sideways just for you guys to see a different angle. So when we're going into Shirshasana 2, the headstand, we need a perfect kind of, I have something really cool that we can try to set up for you, Jeff, if this doesn't work. But you want a tripod, right? Because you want that fulcrum of balance. The main mistake I see with people is they have the head way too close to the hands. But you want an equilateral triangle, and you want to be at those 3 points. So what I like to do, I don't like the way my wrist feels when it's too cushy like this. So I slide my hands underneath the blanket and then I spread the fingers out, because this is the action we're going for. Then I crawl the knees forward to take the head forward. And then again, arms in. The toes tuck, the knees lift, and we crawl, crawl, baby step forward. Notice when I do that, the hips start elevating. One knee can come to the upper arm and point the toes. You don't have to go all the way up. And then you could try the other. You might be able to manage both. Okay. This makes it so much more comfortable for the head to have that extra cushion. If that freaks you out, or if your neck is not in good shape, this is perfect, because this is called a yoga lift. We put the head in the hole, slide all the way back. Squeeze the arms in, we're still using the arms. And then you can curl up and use the wall, and I can help you get up. And you don't have to worry about your neck here, it's free. But you're completely upside down. And that's a restorative way to do headstand. Okay? All right, so who wants to go solo on the mat? Do you want to try it on your own? Who wants to do this? You're gonna do this? Come on up, Donna. I can spot you or I can give you space, whatever you prefer. That's what I was gonna have you do, so you already know. And if you need a thinner block, we have thinner ones. Let me get a thinner one for you. This is like half the size? Could do this. I think it will work better. And don't feel like you have to go all the way up. And then your head will actually be there at the center. And then that's up into here. You got it. And bend your knees. Yeah, like that. And then arms in. Yep, you got it. Great. And again, you don't have to go all the way up. That was nice.
Yeah,
I use the blocks at the wall sometimes like
Yeah.
that.
I come to do it like my neck is
A little
like curved, so
I'm the same way. Yeah.
that's how I learned, because it is the easier way, but then I went to the chiropractor and I never see that.
Did you guys see what she was doing? Because
It's kind of like that, but when you don't.
it's very similar. And we did this at Half Moon, where we would stack, and we did a little bit differently. We stacked the blocks up too, yeah, on top of each other. But do you mind showing them again? Do you mind? I had not seen it done this way, even though we did it similarly somewhere else. Yeah, see how she's using the blocks to support the shoulders? So it's not all into the head. Sorry, you guys at home not having the yoga lift, but try your best. All right, that's all the active we were gonna do. You ready to restore? Do you have questions before we move on? No? Okay. All right, so we're gonna move to a wall. And I'm gonna show you something before you get into this pose, because I want you to have your bolster handy. We're gonna start off with legs up the wall, but I want you to see this maneuver. Eventually, after we hang out here for a little bit, I'm gonna ask you to bend your knees, to push into the wall, to lift your hips, to slide the bolster underneath, and we'll eventually go into waterfall like this. Okay, so do legs up the wall first, but with your bolster and hands reach. time, the back will be flat on the floor and your legs will be elevated. And I always do a visual check to make sure my legs are straight, because sometimes I lean left. So make sure your lines are more parallel and symmetric with each other. And also check in with the alignment of your spine to make sure you're not leaning your torso left or right. Now that we're beginning some restorative poses, we're going to specifically use some poses for the crown chakra. And even though we're not completely upside down, this pose is extremely calming and cooling to the mind and the nervous system. And remember, the crown chakra governs the cerebral brain and the nervous system. I'm going to give you some contemplative food for thought here while you relax. Our Western culture tends to separate matter and spirit. The earth is used wastefully. Science wants to examine everything, avoiding the subject of spirit. Corporations focus on profit with little regard for their environment or the spiritual well-being of their employees. And because of this, people in society who have a high priority with spirituality are usually fringe members of society. It's almost as if there's been a divorce between heavens and the earth. But the crown chakra being activated is all about merging with your higher self and merging with divine or unity consciousness to realize our true nature and purpose in life. So you can see that we don't want matter and spirit to be so separate, so divorced from each other. Let there be a merger of the two. And all you have to do to create this merger is be in this pose, go within, use your breath to quiet your mind so that you can reconnect to both the inner witness and be able to commune with the higher intelligence.
You're ready to move into that deeper inversion of waterfall. All you have to do is walk the feet down the wall a step or two. Push into the wall with the soles of the feet. So you tuck the tailbone and elevate your hips. Keep lifting your hips high, 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 so that the bolster can go under your back. And then sit back on it and re-straighten your legs. Now everything is being trickled down in the direction of the lake of the heart and mind. Consider for a moment how rivers usually land in lakes or the ocean, and sometimes leading to waterfalls. I want to share with you a concept regarding the crown chakra, kind of a metaphor. I mentioned earlier that expanding our awareness and activating this top tier requires spiritual practices and meditation or mystical experiences, sometimes altered states of consciousness. Many want to receive the knowledge by only accumulating information. But if we're only accumulating information and studying it, it's like clinging to the sides of the river. And instead of clinging at the riverbank, we must be willing to jump into the river of experience to become a part of the greater force that is from source. So studying and gaining information is not enough. It's about implementing it, experiencing it for yourself. Before I allow you to drop back into sacred silence, I want you to add in these affirmations. And when I say the affirmation, listen and then recite it quietly to yourself. I have the right to know and to learn. I stay open to new ideas. And I know I am connected to source. I have the right to know and to learn. I stay open to new ideas. And I know I am connected to source. To exit from this pose. So if you chose to use the bolster under your back, go ahead and bend your knees again. Push into the wall to elevate the hips, to slide it away. Roll safely down to the sacrum. Keep the feet down because you're just going to roll to one side of your body. I'm going to switch our position into a new restorative pose. So when you're ready to sit up, we'll use the whole length of our mat for this, not the wall. The bolster is going to turn sideways, closer towards the midsection of the room. And I would have the blanket folded in half of how you took it off the stack, because you may need it. We're going to do a restorative fish. So restorative fish, you're actually sitting up against the bolster and then recline down like this. But even though it's comfortable for my body, it doesn't mean it's going to be comfortable for your body. So if your low back is the problem area or the pained area, take the blanket to sit on so you're not getting as much of a back bend in that particular region. Same thing with your neck. If you're descending over the bolster and your head all the way like this, you probably need a blanket or some padding, and you can then take it to the other side. So explore those options and see what's most comfortable. So even though just a simple legs up the wall is great for the crown chakra, not because we're completely inverted, but because it's a calming agent for what it governs, we started to manipulate it a little bit more. We took the bolster under the hips so that we could be in waterfall, to bring it more into the lake of the heart and mind. And now notice with this position, how we're elevating the chest and allowing everything to flow towards the head. Contemplative food for thought while you're here in restorative fish pose. The reprogramming of the crown chakra requires examination of our own belief system. It involves questioning, reprogramming, and even upgrades at times. Realizing through this process that we are part of the entire web of life, the universal identity with all of the cosmos. Embrace your time here. Bear witness to all that is. And see if you can move into those spaces between your thoughts. With the sound of that mindfulness bow, begin to deepen the flow of your breath. Take your time exiting your pose. And once you do so,
We're actually going to end with a meditation today. Instead of Shavasana. So since we're at a wall, this may be better for some of your knees. And it's perfectly acceptable to sit with your back against the wall and your legs straight. This may be at your comfort level. If you're good at sitting cross-legged, or if you want to sit on your bolster like we normally do, you're welcome to do any of those positions. And so for a little guidance, I'm actually going to play a pre-recorded meditation that will give you some guidance. And then once it's complete, we're going to go back into silence. So I'm going to start playing this. Hopefully it'll come through the speaker. And if you want a mudra, you could do Jnana mudra, because this is connecting the lower to the higher self. And this is about us reconnecting back to source. And close the eyes. Take a few deep
Today,
breaths.
we are going to meditate on the lotus flower. The lotus is
Follow
an
along.
ancient spiritual symbol representing spiritual unfoldment, awakening, transformation, and rebirth. A lotus is similar to a water lily, however, the lotus rises above the water level. A lotus has its roots in the mud. The mud represents past conditioning, past trauma, our ignorance, and ego. Basically, the mud represents everything that has shaped us to who we are today, and perhaps some things we still need to process or overcome. Just as the stem rose up from the mud and through the murky water, I would invite you to take a seat and to extend your spine as if it were like the stem. The lotus is one of the symbols that represents the chakras, part of our energetic anatomy. Once you find a comfortable seat, rest your eyes, turn inward. Imagine that as you're sitting here, reaching upward towards the sunlight, the base of the spine, at the root chakra, the first lotus appears. It's blooming with 4 petals. And allow this red color to be energizing, awakening the Shakti, the dormant energy at the base of the spine. And now begin to move up to the sacral region. And this is where the second chakra resides. The lotus here is blooming with 6 petals, and this lotus appears orange, gifting us with the opportunity to let go, to go with the flow, so that we are releasing any resistance to what is. Now moving up and noticing another lotus blooming just behind the navel. This lotus has 10 petals. It is golden, gifting us with a feeling of personal empowerment to overcome any of our hang-ups or personal obstacles. And now notice the lotus blooming at the heart center. It's pink with green leaves. This lotus appearing with 12 petals. All of these petals representing different attributes of the heart. This lotus is offering us a feeling of love and self-worth. Bringing your attention now to the throat. Blooming at the throat center is a blue lotus. This lotus has 16 petals and is allowing us to honor our truth and creative expression. Blooming at the third eye is an indigo blue lotus, appearing with only 2 petals. Let this lotus give rise to new insights and a broader perspective of things, including yourself and your purpose in life. The final lotus is blooming at the crown of the head with a potential of 1,000 petals, each one representing a different stage in our development. Many ways in which we've become enlightened. This lotus is offering a feeling of wholeness and connection to the higher power. Now that we have been reflecting on our inner lotuses, notice if any particular one resonated with you more. Maybe it was the color or the gift it offered. Stay centered on that particular one. Get quiet inside. Breathe your way to bliss.
the light and the love within me honors and vows to the beautiful light and love within you. You are centered within yourself, and I am centered within myself. Recognize this unity part of our practice today, and we fully understand that we are all a thread in the tapestry of life. Thank you guys for joining today.
Thank you, Carlos.